Hello and welcome to the Salt City Gamescast. My name is Nick Nato. This is episode 140 after a 2-week break. I'm back. Jared's back.
We're
Sitting
back.
across from me. We're here.
Hi. What's going on?
Life came up. Shit was just a lot of stuff in my life. And at some point we'll go through it. But oh boy. And so literally the day of the last, I think it was the day of when we were supposed to record last time, I was just like, it's not gonna work. And it wasn't even like I had games to talk about. That wasn't really the problem. It was just like, I'm just like a pile of mush. And I just don't think that it's going to happen.
Right.
For a few different reasons. But I had just come back to Vegas and then lots of shit. So we pushed it. And wow, when you push it, when we do finally come back and record, suddenly we have a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we never don't have things to talk about. I think that we do a pretty good job of trying to at least touch as much as we possibly can that is coming out or that interests us. At least from my perspective, I'm never like, what am I going to talk about? Sometimes I'll procrastinate till the last second and be like, I just played Destiny for fucking 100 hours and now I got to play a game, preferably that takes 5 hours so we can come and phone it in on the podcast. But thankfully there's actually, for this show, there's actually a few of those kind of bite-sized games that are actually worth talking about. So
for sure. I've made a cocktail. I hope you can get it down in your delicate state. But this is called, I guess it's a classic cocktail. I've never heard of it, but
tastes classic.
Supposedly it's a classic cocktail. It's called Intro to Aperol. And the thing is, the main alcohol is Aperol.
That's the name of the cocktail, Intro to Aperol? Yeah. That's not just the chapter in the book that you pulled this from?
No.
Okay.
I promise. It's not from a book.
All right.
So yeah, the main ingredient, the 2 ounces of booze that you usually see in a cocktail is Aperol, which I thought was a little weird. And then you got an ounce of gin, simple syrup, lemon, bitters. It's pretty much delightful.
It's absolutely my jam.
Sitting out on a patio, we've had a lot of these this summer, but it makes sense. It's been really hot.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing's just fuck yeah, this thing is good.
I want this on ice. Is that blasphemous?
Probably not.
Okay.
No, I think you could probably, wouldn't really matter.
Right.
It's not an alcohol forward cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think even watering it down would matter.
Yeah. Just like Aperol spritzes in particular, there's just something so nice about them. They're cold and nice. So I'm a big fan of Aperol. Anybody that doesn't know about it, you should go and give it a try. It's pretty good.
I have not done anything with it. This is really the first time, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
This is definitely, you could batch cocktail this and see it at a barbecue in a big jug or something on the table.
That's what I'm talking about.
That would pretty much be just fine. Maybe I'll do that sometime.
Yeah. Just fill a jug with some ice and fucking put this shit on it. I'd be into that. Definitely into it. Right up my alley though. You don't really get a lot of the gin, which is, depending on your preferences, probably a good thing.
Yeah, that's why I like it.
And yeah, so it's just, Aperol is an orange flavored liqueur. So you get a lot more Aperol than anything else. So I am very much into it, but I also feel very bad right now.
What happened? We were playing games last night. Everything was in check. And I was like,
was it? I don't know.
Everything was fine. I mean, we didn't do well, but everything was fine.
I mean, I was drinking pretty heavily while we were not doing well.
Sure. And I had some whiskey and stuff, but then I was like, all right, I got to go.
Yeah.
And then, I felt it a little bit this morning, but I was more or less fine. But apparently something happened when I left.
Yeah. I got on Destiny and did some stuff, weekly stuff. And, just continued to drink during that period of time. And,
whiskey?
Yeah, a little bit of that, a little bit of beer, interspersed in there. So, I just woke up this morning and just felt terrible. I didn't even make it upstairs last night. I fell asleep on the couch. And then at 2 a.m, my girlfriend came downstairs and unceremoniously turned on all of the lights in the basement and was like, "What are you doing?" And I was just like, and she's like, "Come to bed." And then I proceeded to, I also fell asleep with the TV on. So she was like, "It's loud, turn it down." So I turned on the TV and had every intention of getting up and going to bed, but then just fell asleep with the lights on, and then woke up at like 6 a.m. with the lights on and was like, wow, I really made a mess of myself.
Okay.
And she came down this morning and she was like, why the fuck didn't you come up to bed when I woke you up? And I was like, I really don't know.
I'm just trying to stay alive over here.
I was like, can you give me some water, please? I'm dying over here.
Well, hey, it happens to the best of us. I recently went to Las Vegas for a work trip. And I think this is pretty common when you go somewhere and you're kind of excited, maybe because like there's lots of bars and stuff in Vegas. So I was like, cool, let's go get some good stuff. And you overdo it on night one, like it's like textbook mistake, right?
Yep.
But I got a few things to talk about. One, I'm really not happy about the situation in Vegas. Now this is on the Strip, so maybe I need to just get off the Strip and go to Old Town and stuff. But they've got all these bars that look like nice bars, but they're just fucking not. Like you go and the cocktails they're making, they charge you like they are very nice bars. But then I sent you a few pictures while I was there, like literally my first drinks of the night, because I ordered an old fashioned, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? And like it's obviously I've talked about it on this show quite a bit. Like I like presentation. I want a big ice cube in an old fashioned. That's really like a non-starter. Like that's how they're supposed to be served. And like if you don't give me that and you charge me $26 fucking dollars, I'm like, whoa, oh dear.
Whoa, man.
I will say that they do not go cheap on the quantity of alcohol. There was absolutely plenty of alcohol in these cocktails, and the actual old fashioned was fine. But I mean, it's probably the most expensive cocktail I have maybe ever purchased. It's got to be up there. I don't know. I can't think of a time where I've even seen a menu with prices that high for cocktails.
$26 for an old fashioned is unacceptable.
It's crazy.
Yeah, an old fashioned is the most basic fucking cocktail.
It's 2 ounces of booze and some orange bitters.
Yeah. Like 20, like I don't know. That you better be fucking making those bitters in the back like yourself.
They better be smoked. Like you better. There should be fireworks. Like
seriously, it better be the best fucking thing ever.
So there's that, and then we had some fun, and I tried some good whiskey and stuff like that. But then the bigger problem is like I can get perfectly drunk on with my own devices, right? Give me my whiskey that I sip and a cocktail or a beer, like leave me alone. I'm no longer want to engage with the type of like we'll call it college drinking that is meant to really fuck you up.
Unless you play video games with Jared.
But the sure. Well,
then all bets are off.
But that happens. But this individual that was with me really liked shots of Fireball.
Yeah.
And if you don't know this about me, I really don't fucking like shots of Fireball. And we did quite a few, more than I would prefer.
Yeah.
And it's just not it fucked me up. Like, and I was I guess fine. I think it took him 30 minutes to find the room because Vegas is Vegas. You kind of get lost in those casinos.
Sure.
I got back to the room and everything, but the next day, the worst part about it is the next day is when I actually had to do work. I had to go somewhere.
Right.
It was fucked up, man. Really, probably the worst hangover I've had in quite some time.
Good.
Not feeling good. So bad that I was there 2 nights. So the next night I was like, originally we were gonna go and do some fun stuff, and I had 2 beers that day, and ended up just sitting at a pie gow table later that night, sober, playing cards because I was just like, I can't go back. And round 2's not happening.
Yeah,
I was the only sober person in Vegas, but
that's what happens.
Yeah, it got me, but I had some fun. I won a little bit of money in Vegas, and then I bought some booze, so that was cool.
The last time you and I were in Vegas together, I was literally drunk the entire time. Yeah. I had we were there probably 72 hours. I was drunk the entire 72 hours, and I ate like 2 meals while I was there. It was just fucking liquid calories the entire time, and it was really bad. It was really bad.
Well,
let's just say that
it was one of those all day affairs. Right?
Yeah, for multiple days
at the pool all day, and then out to dinner and at a wedding. It's just Oh, I can't. I don't know that I can do that anymore. I don't feel like I can do that anymore, but who knows?
I don't know. I'm going to Hawaii in a couple of weeks, so I'm gonna try.
Okay.
I'm not gonna try.
You give it your honest go.
I mean, well, I'm sure I'll get fairly lit.
Sure.
I've got a bunch of breweries I'm gonna go check out because, it's Hawaii, and so it's like,
let me fucking know.
Yeah.
Because I have purchased what they sell in the grocery stores from breweries there, and like a big fucking thumbs down across the board.
It's like what Maui Brewing Company I think is the biggest one.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
Kona's isn't it Kona?
Kona is the one that is most regularly found. Yeah. That's not a good beer. It's all right. The Kona Big Wave, I think is what it's called. I drank plenty of those on golf courses in my life. I will tell you that. But I'm hoping that, I've looked up, I'm staying right next to a location of the Maui Brewing Company. So we're going to go check it out for sure.
It's all fine beer to drink in 90-degree weather. It's just not much to it.
I'm hoping that there's, they've got like brewery specific stuff that you can't get
maybe
commercially that will maybe be better. But yeah, I've checked out a couple of other spots that seem to be well liked. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, the reason we were playing games last night is that Concord came out.
Concord or Concord? Who knows?
Concord.
I don't know.
Anyway, this is a Sony game. And it's out on PC day and date, as they're doing kind of with all their live service games, kind of like Helldivers. But this thing hasn't gotten good fanfare leading up to it. I feel like everyone has just kind of raised their eyebrows at the trailers, and every step along the way being like, "Is this what who asked for this? This is a hero shooter, I guess. Was it 5v5 or
6v6?
6v6, and I just the more I think about it, because we played for a few hours last night, and I don't know that I had fun. I was thinking about it today, because like it functions fine. And there's some, like, every hero's got their abilities that you would expect to see. There's no ultimates, which is a weird one, but I don't think they found like the hook, like where when I think about our minute to minute, I don't have any thing to say, hey, remember when this happened? Like zero. I just didn't really have any of that. It was just like none of the characters really grabbed me. I think that this thing is in a lot of fucking trouble. like like an enormous amount of trouble.
Yep.
And it's not free, and it maybe should be.
It definitely should be free. It should have been day and date with like Sony's Game Pass equivalent, whatever the fuck that thing's called.
Sure. PlayStation
Plus. Yeah, thanks. So it definitely should have been there, in my opinion. And yeah, when we're talking about it, I mean, I feel like the game is competent. Like it's well made. It looks quite nice. It runs really well. Didn't, for a day one launch game, it didn't have any major hiccups that I could see. So like when you're playing the game, you're like, this is fine. And I think that it would have found some footing in 2017. Maybe. I mean, maybe 2016 if they could have beat Overwatch to market. But when you compare those two games together and coupled with the fact that learning that this game has been in development for 8 years, so right along the timeline that hero shooters were kind of blowing up and were at their highest level of demand, it's just a different time now.
Yep.
With a lot of different, things that can grab people's attention and time. And so it's a harder sell when you look at this thing and you can say again, like, it's well made and it works, like the game works. And it doesn't feel bad to play necessarily, but there's just not enough meat on the bones in 2024 for this thing, in my opinion, to find a consistent audience. And it's kind of true when you look at how many people are playing the game.
You were looking, I don't know where you're getting the numbers, but it was in the hundreds, not the thousands.
Yeah, the peak 24-hour high for the game, and granted it's only 2 days in, so it might have went up today, was like 697 people.
Yeah.
So when you're under 1,000 for a game that just launched, you can maybe say dead on arrival pretty easily. I just don't know how you can justify, if you're Sony, to continue to support it in any
And
tangible way if like it's as dead as it is right now.
well, and these days we have a decent amount of examples of games launching in a state where they've got some problems, and then the devs sticking with it and kind of really turning it around. Like Warframe, Cyberpunk, those things exist, and they were not well received when they first came out. The problem with this one is, if you told me to like make a list of how to fix it, it's most of it. Like I don't like there's I don't even know what to tell you. Like
I think the big one would be implementing an ultimate system. Um, but I think you're right. From a fundamental perspective, what makes Overwatch a compelling experience is kind of synergy and team composition and the dynamics of a team, and how you're going to find success with those specific comps. Here, it just does not feel like composition or synergy with characters is really there, and it just kind of seems more of like a free for all. Like there were a few moments when our PlayStation last night where we grouped up with like the broader team and weren't just running and gunning, and we had more success than we did if we were on our own.
yeah.
Shocker. But also, it just didn't feel like your abilities were tangibly affecting your teammates and vice versa. And additionally, your opponents, there's no, synergy on the opposing end either. So it just kind of feels like team deathmatch in 2024.
And it kind of is like there are a lot of characters. One of their abilities is some form of a grenade, and some of them, both of their abilities are some type of a grenade, and that's not very exciting in a hero shooter. Like
No.
I don't think there's enough variety in each character's skill set that sets them apart.
Right.
It's just like, oh yeah, we got to get this guy. I was like, well, what fucking weird grenades he gonna throw? I don't know. Like,
Right. I mean, the character, to its credit, there's a lot of characters that launch. I think there's 16 or 17 characters out the gate, which is a good amount.
Someone just started making them 8 years ago and never stopped.
Yeah. And
Like,
they're also like, they do feel like archetypes, like they're tankier characters and they're, fast characters.
yeah,
And then like pseudo healers. I was playing a pseudo healer, but like healing in this game is not like you would see like Mercy, like stick on me with your little staff and heal me. It's more like I have this thing that I throw on the ground and you run into it and it
yeah,
heals you. But I also like am effective at dealing damage, right?
sure.
Which on paper isn't a bad thing necessarily, but yeah, it just doesn't feel great. And so I don't know. I mean,
I,
I would be shocked if Sony is going to really give this studio like the time and the resources that it will take to get this thing in a better state. I just think it's going to be one of these things where, internally Sony made a poor decision to purchase the studio. And this is nothing against the studio. It seems like the studio is very competent and like they probably can make a good game based on what they produced with this thing. But also, I just don't see Sony being like, yeah, we'll give you 2 years to, get this thing in a good state with like constant updates, new characters, new game modes, etc. I just don't think that, unfortunately, they're going to have the time to do that. And I think this will probably go down as one of the bigger flops out of like Sony's first party studios in a long while.
I mean, there should have the people that bought it should have been playing. So if we're talking that the sales are in the thousands, it's just I just don't know how
Well,
that
it's
thing.
just this gross fucking calculation and mishandling of what gamers want by the hires up at Sony, right? There was a lot of press about Sony really, investing a lot of resources into live service games, right?
Yeah,
And kind of the cadence and the way that things work with live service games is you only really need one to take off and be successful, and then you're good. So it's like, let's invest a bunch of money into this, and one or two of these projects will bear fruit and will be good. But like, it's not a viable business model in 2024. Like clearly people have kind of rejected it largely. I mean, there are a handful of examples that you can look at that are genuinely successful. Even though everybody gets laid off, even when it's successful. So fucking, I don't know. But I just think that it's just like gross misunderstanding of what gamers want right now, and just being like kind of greedy and being like, these things in theory can generate a lot of revenue over a long period of time. So let's put all of our eggs in this basket. Let's buy this studio that's been working on this game for almost a decade. Sony bought them a year ago, right? So this thing was in development for a long period of time prior to Sony getting involved. And it just seems like a poor decision was made by whoever made the decision. And, you got to look at, the highest of highs when it comes to this kind of stuff. So Jim Ryan has just retired. So that's a good thing, because I don't think that he's good for Sony. He seems like he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. So hopefully they can bring in. Have they announced who's going to be the CEO now?
I don't think.
I know that there's like an interim, but I don't know if they've announced like who's going to take his place. But, I don't really have a lot of sympathy for Jim Ryan. He seems like a shitty person based on some of the stuff that he did with layoffs and stuff like that right before he left.
Sure.
And so fuck him. And, hopefully they can get somebody in that has their finger on the pulse a little bit more. And, as sad as it is that Concord has to be like a casualty of this, clearly gamers are like, you got to bring more to the fucking table for us to get invested in something like this. And this is not it. So like, hopefully they'll learn.
You've got to be way more bold especially if you're going to try to have a hero shooter, like your heroes better be fucking cool and good and unique. And that's not.
Yeah. I feel like, also we should add, and I don't know if this really matters because it can't be much more, but Sony doesn't surface their player counts for the PlayStation 5 in particular. Sure. So who knows? Maybe there are thousands of people playing on PS5, but Steam is like pretty much dead on arrival. So
no server load. Get in now.
Yeah. I mean, you get matches quick, real quick. It's like almost instantaneous. It's like, holy shit, I'm in a match. Yeah. And then there's been like, I feel bad about this, but like within, I think it was yesterday, somebody high up at Firewalk, like, on Twitter fucking got into it with a bunch of gamers, like ripping people.
Holy Lord.
Because people are just being, in this case, kind of accurate with kind of some of their criticisms. And he's just like, maybe like, don't buy into the fucking narrative and try it for yourself. And maybe you'll find out that it's actually a good game instead of just like shitting on it. And like, I agree with that sentiment, but I can say hungover Jared right now played it, and I still think it's got a lot of serious issues, and I just don't think that this is gonna make it.
I mean, generally I do not refund games on Steam. I think I've done it one other time, and I refunded it today.
Nice.
I was just like, if Jared says you want to play again, I'm going to say no, and I don't think he's going to ask me if I want to play again.
No.
So I was like, oh. Normally it's like whatever, but I was like, no, I give him $40 for 2 hours. It's not a very good deal. Also,
some of the, like the ancillary things in this game, like your customization, that's really all that's here right now, right? There are lots of like dailies and weeklies and seasonal challenges, and like in a modern shooter, after every match you'll get a bunch of fucking numbers going up. You got 10 kills from 30 meters or whatever the fuck it is, and you go into like character customization, and I was shocked, like absolutely shocked with what was on offer. Like, it's color swaps. Nice. So like your character color palette.
Yeah.
In another game, this would just be free. You could just change it at will. But it's like, get to level 13 with this guy, and you can get him in a pink
blue
suit instead of his default green. And it's like, that sounds like a bunch of bullshit. And then the final tier for every character is one unique costume. That's it. That's all that's available right now. Then there are weapons charms, which like cool, you know, going from like 2008 Call of Duty with your weapons charms. I'm gonna get a sweet bong on one of mine and really have a good time. Weapons charms, and then you can change. I'm not joking about this. You can change each character's gloves. They're fucking gloves, dude.
Amazing.
And I'm just like, this is just not enough. This is not enough. Like you have no incentive to grind out. Like I'm really going hard for Daw's pink costume. It's like that's just not gonna do it, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, huge problem for them. I feel for them.
Well, goddamn.
Hopefully they don't shut the studio. Hopefully at least they have enough understanding to be like, okay, well, one, this studio is like a lot of ex-Bungie employees, so that's something to note. So a lot of them have experience launching and shipping games, which is good. They just shipped a game, so you know clearly they've proven that they can do it.
The game works. They just maybe need help making a game that's fun.
Yeah, so hopefully it's like, all right, go back to the drawing board. Sony says, hey, we're still going to keep you on board, and you know what else do you guys have?
Sure,
and start fresh.
We'll give you 8 years. See ya.
I mean, that's literally probably the reality. It's like,
holy Lord,
it's gonna take a long time. So,
okay,
I don't know what else to say, man.
Oh man,
go play this game, or don't go play this game.
I played through another game. It's called Nobody Wants to Die. Kind of a tricky one to talk about, but we will try. But this thing's set in like a what do we call it when you take a like you freeze a moment in time, say like the 20s? I think it's right around the 20s or the 30s.
It's 20s for sure.
It is like the setting, right? These older cars, the music, the like detective noir setting, and then you put it in the future. And I don't know if there's a name for doing that. Like certain properties have done that before. I really like it because it's like, hey, remember this awesome setting? What if this setting was the backdrop was actually in 100 years or 200 years or something? But that is what
doesn't make a lot of sense if you think about it.
No, it doesn't.
But it is cool nonetheless. The setting in this game is excellent.
It's pretty awesome, and this game is a lot of narrative. There's not a whole lot of action. You do things, but it's no you're not doing a lot of shooting of a gun or really any
none.
But you it's basically if you've played like Remember Me or even Cyberpunk, where they are messing with reviewing like video and trying to figure things out. Both those games do it something similar to this, but you basically go in and this world is interesting. Maybe the best part about the game is kind of just the setting that someone has come up with is pretty interesting. I have issues with the story that we can talk about, and we'll probably spoil this game just so you know as we talk about it. But you're a detective, you go into these places and it's like, oh, this guy he's dead, he's hanging from a tree, and I'm not sure exactly how it works, but you have something that allows you to kind of rewatch what happened through, like you kind of go through and find different clues, and then it opens up, and then you can keep like rewinding, and then you find a new like hot clue within this little timeline thing. And that generally on paper I'm kind of on board with. I like that type of stuff. I don't necessarily like the settings that they used in this game for it, but like when I played like Remember Me, like I really liked all that shit. It's like, cool, I'm figuring this out. In this game, I should say like the main setting is that you at an early age you have to like basically start renting your body, or else they're gonna put you in. They take your mind out and put you in a memory bank, and then they'll give your body to someone else, and you never die, and you just keep renting another body and over and over and over.
It's like very late stages of a horrible capitalism. If you had this technology, right? Like there is like a lot of politics surrounding acquiring like a desirable body for these like very rich and famous people, like essentially like sucking the essence out of like a baby, or like bathing in a virgin's blood. Like it's very similar to that, right? Like this upper crust 1% population have all of their resources to kind of take their choosing of like the most ideal bodies and genetics, right? And inject their memories and their psyche into these bodies.
Yeah, it is a difficult thing to kind of talk about and describe, but pretty much right away you kind of find out something happened, like a guy actually died, which isn't really supposed to be possible, or at least it's very rare. And then that kind of sets off like this mystery that takes you from mission to mission as you keep working through these things. And I mean, there was a moment in the game where I was just like, okay, like I'm I kind of want to know where this thing's going, like as far as the narrative,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I it, at the end of the day, the story's just not it. It's not very. I don't think it's very good. Like it doesn't really land, and it kind of left me unsatisfied with how just the whole thing wrapped itself up.
It's not super digestible would be my major criticism of it. Like, playing through it, I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I really like, I understand like the main points, but like some of the more
And
nuanced aspects of this, I'm very confused about. And I never really got that understanding at the end of it either.
what
I just kind of felt like I kind of understand, but
well,
then there's a lot of it that I don't.
one of the reasons that it was frustrating. This is a pretty short game, 5 or 6 hours, and um, there's just a lot of characters and lore that you don't know. Like you join this character, he's already gone through a life and a half or something like that, maybe 2.5 lives. And uh, you go into these scenes, and there's like a lot of people in the bar scene in particular. There's a lot of high players in there that have died. And
Mhm.
he's like, oh, I know this guy. And you're like, I don't. And then they go to the next one. He's like, I can't believe this lady's here. And I'm like, I don't know her either.
Yeah.
I don't know any of this shit.
Yeah.
And it felt like it needed more lore, which like I don't know that the game needed to be longer with the gameplay elements and how it is. It wouldn't. I don't know that that would have grabbed my attention either.
Mhm.
But it was just I always just felt like I don't care that this person died. I don't know who that person is. I don't know who anyone is. None. I have no connection to any of these characters that you're
Yeah.
like, I can't believe it.
Yeah, definitely felt that same way about it. I will say that I did like the investigative sequences in this game. I thought obviously that was the strongest part of this game. Kind of piecing things together, you're kind of exploring these environments, and then yeah, like you said, going through these like sequences where you're like kind of rewinding time to specific moments to kind of see what took place at these crime scenes, which seems like it would make homicide detective's job pretty fucking easy.
Sure.
But like all that's cool and it works well and it looks really nice. This game looks excellent. I mean, it's a fantastic looking game.
Yeah, it's pretty gorgeous.
But yeah, like I just think that the story, which is like the big hook of this thing, I just think it fumbles the bag in some pretty significant ways where you could see like their general premise is somewhat interesting or pretty interesting actually. But it just the way that it's all handled just feels muddy and not super decipherable. So that was a big hit for me for it. And that's really all the game is. I mean, it's like it lives or die on its story. And like if the story's bad, then the game by default is
It's
bad. And I think this game's pretty bad
for sure.
because of that, I would love to see this video game or this game uh be a little bit more beefy. Like the setting is excellent. There is a really cool aspect to the game from that perspective. And so if there was more game here, I think they could have really come up with some cool shit.
If it was like Remember Me, which is not like a great game, but it was like I'll say an 8 when I played it. But
Okay.
that game had combat. It had
Mhm.
some trees and stuff, and you were in between these cool memory sequences. You also had stuff to do, and I think that's probably what this game needed. You were a detective. You have a gun. It's like you
You
look
shoot
at
it
it.
exactly
You,
3 times.
you like it, like you got the gun. I don't know if we need to dwell on it anymore. Except, did you get the whiskey? Did you take it home?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
took the
fuck yeah,
scotch.
yeah,
I took the scotch and I drank it in the
yeah.
car.
Uh-huh.
This is very much inspired by like the Fifth Element. Like everything about it is like it's like Batman, like the gothic architecture of like Tim Burton's Batman with Back to the Future cars, and fucking or Fifth Element cars for that matter. Like everything about it is cool from that perspective. But yeah, I did drink the
The,
whiskey. I drank it, and then the police come after you like right
uh,
after that. Um, But yeah, dude, I don't know. There's an orgy scene, so if you're into orgy scenes, there's one of those, and like sacrifice orgies as well, which makes it even more fucking gnarly,
really intense. All right, last thing, in this dystopian society, in your apartment complex, you don't have your own bathroom. Like you have a bathroom right where you would expect it, but it's also an elevator, I think.
Yeah.
So like you like, I want to use the bathroom, and then it's like ding, and it's like, wait a minute. And it's like, well what is it's such a like, it doesn't have really any major, has no impact on the story.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whose idea was this? What is the point of this elevator bathroom that you've got to wait to use? Like,
there's a sequence early in the game when you go to the apartment and you like tap on the screen to go to the bathroom, and it's like, it's in use right now. Come back in a couple of minutes. And you come back after you do some stuff in the apartment, and there's like someone that's about leaving the bathroom, and you hear him like, I can't remember exactly what it says, but it's like, keep the toilet seat down or something like that, like yells at you, and you're like, okay, all right. And it's just like that. This is fucking weird. Also in the apartment, there is like a food delivery system like in the wall, and there's like a bunch of different options. You just press a button and it squirts out like a paste of food, which is weird and interesting. But yeah, like I don't know, man. Not gonna make any list for me this year. I actually like genuinely did not enjoy myself.
I promise we do have some positive things to talk about.
Here's one other thing that this one really confused me. So the main character is fucking pining over his dead girlfriend the entire game.
Yes.
And I'm just like, how'd she fucking die, man? Like, you've lived 3 lives. You're in your like 3rd body. You used to be like a baseball player, and now you're this fucking detective, which makes no fucking sense, but okay. And like, why didn't you just fucking get her a new body? Like, I don't know. Like, you're bitching about it, but there seems like a solution to this problem. And the whole what makes it even more confusing is like this very wealthy, like, you know, a top echelon person dies at the beginning of the game, and the main character is like, this is just so uncommon, like people don't die anymore, and he's dead because he got his Icarite like burned, which is like the thing that keeps you alive. And I'm like, so you're saying that this is an incredibly uncommon thing, but your girlfriend's dead and you're sad about it, and you just talk about her incessantly because she's not coming back, and you're like, this is an incredibly rare thing. It's like, I don't know if it's that rare. You directly have interacted with 2 people that have died permanently. So what the fuck are we doing here? Like, that just made no sense to me. The entire time I was just like, well, explain, like, how did it happen? What? Why is she not here anymore? I don't know, dude.
I don't know. Hey, listen, I just play the games.
This game's not good.
No,
you probably, sorry. I mean, like, if you've got a beefy PC and you want to see something that runs pretty good and looks really nice, then maybe if you can get it on a sale for like $10.
Definitely on sale. Definitely on sale. Let's take we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about Thank Goodness You're Here, Steamworld Heist 2, other stuff, whiskey stuff, all of it. All right, we're back.
It's weird shit going on outside right now.
I mentioned I went to Vegas. I won a little bit of money, enough money to buy some whiskey, and which is nice. I don't get out of the state a whole lot, so I went over to a sweet store that you had pointed me in the direction of. Spent a lot of time just looking, you know, just with like hearts in my eyes, but I came across the Kilkerran. This is at Campbelltown, the heavily peated that you'd told me about before. So I knew it existed, but when I saw it, it's, you know, Campbelltown's kind of my favorite thing. It's been my favorite thing for a while, for a year, maybe, since you introduced me to it. This one, we got to talk about, because a lot, the thing about the Campbelltown stuff, all of the other offerings I have, Springbank, Glen Scotia, and the Kilkerran there, they have a really good balance of peat that you don't really get from the Islas and stuff like that. This is not designed to do that. You know, the whole intent of the heavily peated here is to be pretty strong, and then the alcohol is high. It's at 57%. I like it quite a bit, but I had to kind of adjust my expectations for like this doesn't necessarily fit in with the other Campbelltowns. But for a peated Scotch that is also high proof, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's very hot. I'm very hungover, so it's almost like the last thing that I want to put in my body right now. So it's hard for me to be objective right now. But I mean, I do love Campbelltowns. You know, this is one of the 3 big heavy hitters in the region. So you know, it's good. It's good. I do like everything about this distillery. Like their stuff's good. It's pretty limited in terms of like what you're gonna get from them. You know, they've got like a handful.
As far as variety.
Yeah.
I think I mean I've had, you brought me a bottle. I forget I think there might be an age statement on it.
I think the 10 or the 12, one of the two. Maybe it's an 8.
It would be the higher one because our friend Danny brought over another one that was the lower. So I've had,
maybe it's 15 then. I don't know.
I've had 2 of the age stated ones. I have another one, and then I've had this. So 3 total so far. And I think there's probably only like one other box to check in there.
Yeah. You know, these are the newest kids on the block. They were established in like 2004, I believe. So very new in comparison to Glen Scotia and Springbank. Yeah. So, but it's good stuff. On a different day, in a different frame of mind,
mindset, you're going to be like,
I would be very much into it.
I hear you. It's especially if you're drinking whiskey and then hungover from whiskey, the next day you're just like, I can't do whiskey. After Vegas, I didn't have whiskey for a number of days because it's like, not happening. Water mainly.
Yeah. I drink a lot of that today.
I bet.
That really, I would recommend it.
But, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a big supporter. I've been drinking Liquid Death. Do you know what that is? It's like the canned water.
Why is it called Liquid Death?
It's just all branding. It's actually kind of brilliant branding. It was like this dude that worked for like marketing companies, like in LA, I think, and he got disillusioned with marketing, and as a joke was just like, let's fucking make this brand of like canned water and call it Liquid Death.
It's just water?
They've made like teas now and carbonated water with flavoring in it, which is the ones that I actually enjoy, is like the flavored. It's basically like LaCroix, but a little bit better. It's got a little bit of sugar in it, so it's a little bit sweeter, but not like a ton of sugar. I think it's got like 3 grams of sugar for
just something.
Just a little bit of sugar. And it's like 20 calories per can. But it's wildly successful. He's made like $1 billion plus dollars on it. And it's just funny because he was just like, I just did this as a fucking joke. And then it became this like massive thing. So, and I was very like apprehensive about it because I was like, this is so hokey and stupid. But like, I actually like sparkling water quite a bit. That's something that's like, I didn't used to like it at all. But as I've gotten older, I've been like, I fuck with this shit. So I'm a big fan.
I do not like sparkling water.
Yeah, I get it. I used to not. But now LaCroix, like in these Liquid Deaths, I'll fuck them up.
Okay. All right. Hey, you do you.
Yeah.
My wife sent me a thing on Instagram that was basically you take a thing of Gatorade and you do equal parts red wine and blue Gatorade, and it's a winerade or something. And that's probably terrible, but
should we do that?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Why not? We'll just.
We haven't really drank a lot of wine here.
None. I think the answer is 0. I haven't even made a sangria. You fuck with sangria?
I'll drink it. But it tastes like wine.
Yes, there's wine in sangria.
So like just like
sure.
I don't understand why. Like I like vinegar, so I like vinegar on its own. I fuck with it, like all about it. But when you're like, you want to drink this thing that tastes like it, no. And that's what most wine red wine at least, and a lot of white wine.
Yeah.
It's just vinegar. It tastes like vinegar to me, and I just can't. I can't wrap my mind around that.
When was the last time you had a glass of wine?
High school?
Jesus.
No, that's a joke.
You and your friends in high school sitting around drinking Franzia.
That's really true.
The box from your mom's closet.
Yeah. No, we got like a big bottle of like Zinfandel. In high school, and I was like, this is fruity and nice. This isn't vinegary at all. No, I don't know. I mean, like a full glass, probably never. Like I really don't do it. But I've tried a bunch of wine as an adult and just been like, it's not for me.
Doesn't take.
I've not had one that I'm like, I like the fruity ones. Like the very fruity wines are the ones that appeal to me. Like the ones that people usually will be like, what the fuck? Like, no, like I don't want to drink that.
Like my mother-in-law will put out a sweet red.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, oh, Nick, I opened up a sweet red. And it's just like, I've never relayed information that this was my jam. It's very much not like I like normal red wine.
Get some of that sweet red in you, dog.
I don't need the sweet red.
Yeah, I don't know. Like part of me wants to enjoy it just because I kind of like the pomp and circumstance. It's very similar to whiskey in that way, but I actually like the taste of whiskey. So that works out. But with wine, I just like, I like the aesthetics. I like the vibe, but I just don't like the product.
Yeah. Well,
prove me wrong. Tell me all the good wines that are out there.
You come and tell us all. So I was minding my own business. And you sent me, and you're like, you should play a game. You should play a game called Thank Goodness You're Here. And you're like, it's only a couple hours long, and do it. I was like, sure. Wonder what this is all about. What the fuck have you done? What? I don't. Is it the weirdest game we've played or talked about on this podcast? Like, if it isn't, it's got to be. It's got to be real fucking close.
We've talked about some weird shit on this podcast, so I don't know if
you want to
takes the cake.
You want to try to explain what the fuck this is?
Yeah, it's pretty simple, actually. I don't know. I don't think it's that complicated. You're this little yellow man that is in this like fictionalized version of like the Midlands in England. Mm-hmm. The developer is called Coal Supper, which I think is a great name. Mm-hmm. They made one other game prior to this that I have never played and I don't even know the name of. But Coal Supper put this thing out. They are from Burnley, I believe, which is not known for being the nicest part of England, let's say. And so it's kind of got a negative reputation just kind of for being kind of hokey or like what's the equivalent of like a British hillbilly? I don't know. I know like Australians have bogans, but I don't know what an English equivalent to like kind of like white trash is. But it seems like, there's a lot of people in this area that are just kind of, middle class or lower class. And so these devs are from there, and they made a game basically with this fictionalized version of Burnley. I think that it's like Bart. I don't even remember the name. It starts with a B as well. And you're this little yellow man that goes to meet the mayor, and you go into his office or in the receptionist's office in the waiting room, and he can't meet with you for a few hours. The receptionist tells you, he can't meet with you. So like, just hang out. And so you, this little yellow man, go into the town, and every one of the citizens of the town have things that they want you to do for them, essentially.
Yeah. They frequently say, thank goodness you're here. We need to touch on the dialect, the accent, or the language. Because I think it's a mishmash of a few different things from my understanding, but it's I don't even know if I can try to emulate it, but it's very funny, and it's very hard to even always know what the fuck they're saying, because it is such a British slang where you're just like, what?
Yeah. There is an option at the beginning of the game. It asks you a question, and it's like it very like stylized English accent or slang, I guess I should say. And you can say, I don't understand, or you can like buy into it, and I think it changes like how heavy it is. And I noticed when you sent me a screenshot that you bought in. I did not buy in, so I didn't have the same experience probably as you did.
I bought in, and I have enjoyed every minute of this game, and I'm frequently just kind of like, what the fuck am I playing? This game is a comedy.
100%.
This is a joke factory. It's a you show up and it's like, are you looking for jokes? And it's like, yep. And it's like, we got fucking jokes. Come on, you can come on in here. We got lots of fucking jokes. Not always appropriate jokes. There are inappropriate jokes. Like if you are a 10-year-old that has learned to read, I don't know, this is age appropriate for you.
No, you could probably be a little bit older for this one.
But it's very funny. The things you do throughout the game are very basic. Like they're absurd, and there's no relation to physics. Like sometimes you are tiny compared to the people you're helping, like at a bar, and it kind of flips all, and you go through, like your body literally goes through pipes, and then you're like helping this dude that needs milk, and he's in bed and won't get out of milk. He won't get out of his bed, so you got to go find a cow, and like you're constantly just doing like you're just like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, what even is this? My favorite is that, and I needed to look it up because there might be more. There's 2 ducks that you pass.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was I should have written it down. I know the second one. The first time they went by it, I'm like, those ducks are fucking cool. And then you pass them again throughout your travels, and the ducks are talking, and I mean, I butchered a little bit, but it was in some form of like, yeah, he asked me to give his wife arrears, and I said, yeah, I'll do whatever to your wife, but I'll give it to her in arrear, but it's your wife. I don't know, man. And you're just like, what the? And then that's the joke. You're gone, and then you're just like,
you're just like walking past these ducks, and they're in a pond, and one of them talks and like just says all this shit, and then the other one always responds with just quack, which is hilarious. So one of them is just talking, the other one's just a duck. Yeah, so gameplay wise, this is very limited. Like you can jump and you can slap, and as you walk around, you slap people. You're much smaller than everyone for the most part, so your character model probably goes up to like their kneecap or their butt, and you just slap them. And sometimes they'll like say something to you, or if you've done all the dialogue that is available, they'll just make a noise like whoo when you smack them, which I absolutely love. So there was a brief moment where I couldn't figure out where to go, so I was just walking around the town smacking everybody to see what I needed to do.
That happens.
But yeah, it's literally smack a character. Someone will give you like an objective that you need to complete, which will take you to a different part of the town, which is going to expose more jokes, more people. I think the comedy is really good here. It's obviously very British in its execution. So if you're a fan of British comedy, you probably
if you're a Monty Python fan, you're probably going to get a lot out of this.
Yeah. I've seen some British people being like, this is not good. And so it seems like it lands more with like us than it does them. I'm sure that there are a lot of people in England that are like, this is great. But yeah, and it was obviously created by British people. So they're, obviously trying to appeal to their
I mean, I could see
country.
I could see a scenario where a game comes out about the South or something, and maybe people in the South aren't as excited about it.
I don't know if it was
people,
like,
or
from what I saw, it wasn't like people were offended that they were kind of poking fun at like this kind of back country, backwater part of England. It was just more that the comedy they didn't find it particularly funny.
I think it helps to have the accent land with us.
Yeah.
Like, we don't hear anything remotely close to that, even though this is an extreme version that they're doing.
Yeah.
People over there hear it all the time, so it's a little less much of like, well, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
is that a joke? And in the States, we're like, that's a good fucking joke.
Yeah,
like that duck is British.
Yeah. So my favorite bit in the whole game is the fruit vendor with the weird head. So you encounter this fruit vendor, and he's like at the beginning, one of the citizens is like, he's lost his marbles, he's lost it. And when you finally get into his store, he's like throwing vegetables and fruit all over the place, and he's like freaking out, and you have to help him. And there's this like flashback of the time that he was born all the way up to the point that you're at now, and it's just like this vignette of all of these people like making fun of him for his weird shaped head. And then like he finds love, and he finds a wife, and they're like happy together. And she's like, at one point, she's like, you know, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, I love you for you. And then like cuts to her leaving him. And she's like, I can't live this lie anymore. I just can't take it anymore. And she leaves him because his head's all weird. And he's like losing his mind in the present time because his head's weird. And it just made me laugh so fucking hard. There's just a lot of goofy shit like that in this game. And yeah, like very weird. Like you'll be normal sized and then you shrink, like you said. Like one of the more long form quests in the game is this like handyman. He has you like go find a bunch of his tools, but after you deliver one tool, he's like working on this like deep fryer at a chip shop, and you have to go talk to him to get like the next thing. And instead of just like going and talking to him, you just like go under this deep fryer, and then you're transported, and you're like tiny, like the size of like I don't know, a bug on his chest, and you walk on his chest, and he's just like, go get me my wrench or my hammer. You know what I mean? And so it's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous shit that I played this year. We don't get a lot of like good comedy in video games, in my opinion.
No,
I think that there's been like,
I feel like we recently talked about another game that I said was a comedy, but now I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Think about it.
We'll have to check the tapes. But yeah, you know, this thing is setting out to just be a joke delivery system, and you know, comedy is obviously subjective. So whether you find it funny,
it's like
or
a
not,
dragon. It's like a dragon.
Like a Dragon
Like a
is
Dragon.
a comedy.
I was like, this is a comedy.
Yeah, Like a Dragon is like a comedy, but I think that like this is just.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. And it's 2 hours to get through it. I would highly recommend this thing. I really like it. I think it was quite funny. And it's one of those things that like very similar to Untitled Goose Game, if you're familiar with that. Very similar vibe and kind of structure. You're just walking around a town, and like in the case of Untitled Goose Game, just annoying people as a goose, which is brilliant. But in this one, you're just helping people, and a lot of funny shit happens. So I really, really like this thing.
It's incredible. It's just a weird thing that exists. It's just kind of shocking that it exists. I forget what we paid for it, but I think it's only $10 or something like that.
Yeah, it's not expensive. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's going to be something that I'll probably pull out and show people. Like if I'm like, I don't know, talking to someone and I'm like, hey, you want to play something stupid for a second?
See something ridiculous?
Yes.
It took me a little bit to like, no, I mean, it's not a long game, but at first I was like, what has he gotten me into? and then around like the 6th or 7th joke, I was like, okay, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah, like the thing about it is like most of it lands, in my opinion. Like some of it's not as funny as other bits, but most of it is like entertaining at very least.
Sure.
So yeah, go check it out. I mean, there's not much to really say about it other than that, you know. This is one of those games that you just kind of have to experience for yourself to get the full enjoyment out of.
Absolutely.
I want like a t-shirt with that little man on it.
It's so funny. I have been playing a lot of Steamworld Heist 2. Now, have you played any Steamworlds? Okay, I have not.
I played Dig.
Okay,
Dig's pretty sweet.
I know nothing about them. Like I've known of their existence, and that was kind of what you know, when there's these pretty popular titles, like this is a pretty popular Steamworld's a pretty popular IP. And when I haven't
they made a lot of games, like 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, like when I haven't played any of it, I was just like, what is this? And then I heard some pretty good things about this, and the first one people really like. So I jumped into it, and then I was very quickly pleasantly surprised, because I am a fan of XCOM like games, that strategy, turn, attack, level up your guys, get certain guys that are just overpowered. Like I really like that loop. This game is essentially like that, but it's 2D. So it's a little limited, but there is a lot of, you've all got your guns and stuff, and you're these bots. There's like the Navy bots, and you're the Steam bots, I think. And I don't particularly like the aesthetics in this
me
game.
either.
It doesn't do much for me, which is too bad because there's this mechanic where if you shoot off the guy's hats, you get to take them. And I love games with hats. That's a part of my soul. But I don't like the aesthetics of this game, so I'm like, I don't really care.
I love games with hats.
I mean, the division, that should exist. But
that should be a slogan for Salt City Games. I love games with hats.
I like this game quite a bit. I've got some problems with it, but it is it's really easy to drop in and do missions. I've been playing 100% on the Steam Deck. It runs great. You can jump in, you can make some progress, do some missions, level up your guys, and get out. And there's a pretty good loop there. There is a lot of unlocks here that start to open up. As you get further, you keep like you are in a sub and you move around and upgrade different rooms kind of in your sub that allow like passive upgrades to a class. So all your snipers will suddenly get this certain skill, or you are upgrading your sub as well because there's a little bit of a sub combat mechanic, which is pretty basic, but you do kind of have to interact with it to get through some of the further parts in the game. I love all that because there's a lot of freedom here to find out what you like, how you like to play these games, and go down that rabbit hole. There's a job system in this game that allows you to even go one step further. As you unlock, like say you take the sniper up, I think it's like level 5 is the top, but you have skill trees that unlock at each level. And then if I switch jobs, I have X amount of cogs, 3 or 4, that I can then go back to my sniper and bring those skills into that next character. And there's, I think there's 6 different classes that I've seen, something like that. So you can really do some good shit. Like there's a melee guy that gets health back when he kills someone. Well, you can bring that into the sniper. You could bring that skill to all your guys, and every time they take someone out, they get health. There's other stuff that's like if you get hit, they take damage. All that's really good because the versatility as far as how far you can customize it, sky's the limit. Noah, like you're going to play the game differently than how I'm going to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
I've found that the melee motherfucker is just a juggernaut because he gets health back, and he's my favorite so far. Really like the game. My concern is maybe gets a little stale because of the 2D format.
Mm-hmm.
Where in XCOM, they create levels, and these levels are all handmade. The previous Steamworld Heist had random levels. This one does not, but it's still 2D, and it still is just like a few different levels of verticality, and you're working on like shooting bullets. You can bounce them off surfaces and stuff like that. The XCOM gets a lot more like really exciting things naturally happening, where I just feel like this is a little limited.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm a little concerned is I think I'm 15 hours or something. I feel like I'm far in the game. I read a review and someone was like, it was 40 hours. And I was like, I don't know if I want to play this game for 40 hours. Like I'm having a good time. I don't know if I'm having a 40-hour good time. Like that's a bit much.
I thought it was like I saw on How Long to Beat that it was like 15 hours to finish it.
Maybe this person was trying to max stuff out because it does rate each mission,
encounter, yeah.
And if you don't lose any people, then you'll get the full stars. And if you make sure you get all the loot, so maybe if he's going back and trying to do that, because it gets quite hard. The nice part about it, actually, this goes 2 ways. It's nice, and I criticize it. It tells you right away, we got a lot of difficulty levels, adjust it. The game is not fun if you murder. If the game's not fun if it's too hard, use the difficulty levels. There's no penalty for doing so.
Mm-hmm.
That's all fine. I like that. I would like a way to track what levels I beat on which difficulty level, because I still do like that shit.
Yeah.
Like I would like to be able to say, well, I never beat that one on the highest.
Right.
And I don't see that is a metric. It just doesn't matter what difficulty you play on.
There's like a star system, right?
For sure. Well, there's a star system, but you can max out on any difficulty and it's not going to change.
Right.
So like if you want to add legs to the game, you would also track that you beat this mission on this difficulty. Now, do you want to go try it on the next one? And I don't see anything like that.
Yeah, I played very little of this. I think I'm like an hour or two in, so I don't have like a really informed opinion on it. From what I played, I enjoyed, but generally these kind of like style of games, these style of strategy games don't appeal to me. XCOM in particular is just not something that I really enjoy. That Marvel game that came out was probably the one that I enjoyed the most.
Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
That game was cool.
Yeah, that game was cool.
Game.
Yeah, I like that the most, and that's like very similar. I would say some of these types of strategy games. But the things that I did kind of notice while I was playing it is, one, I wanted to play this with mouse and keyboard like desperately. I played it on the Steam Deck, and I just didn't feel like it was snappy enough. Like the cursor to like move your characters into the positions that you wanted to just didn't feel great. And maybe you'll get used to it as you play more of it.
There's definitely times where you're trying to go up ladders and it doesn't go. You're like, well, how do I get the cursor up there? Because it's not just a mouse that you click up there.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I got to kind of move it over here. And
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
and then
like
also
the pathing is a little weird on a controller.
Yeah. And then like the geometry of shots, you know, how you're like angling shots. While it's precise and works fine on D-pad or on the analog stick on the Steam Deck, I feel like you'd have a little bit more control with a mouse.
Sure.
So I was like, yeah, probably if I'm going to like get deeper into this, I'd probably want to switch over to PC to play this. But also, I did like the kind of customization of the submarine, right? Like, I think that's a cool idea, and gives you something to work towards per run that you're going through.
Sure.
I just got guns for my submarine, which were pretty cool. So I was like shooting. There's like an overworld map that you kind of pilot your sub around, and there are like battleships that you can fight. And it's not turn-based; it's like real-time fights, which I thought was pretty cool. And I assume that expands as it gets deeper. Yeah,
you have a bunch of different. You probably got the guns on the side. That's usually the first one you get.
Yeah.
You get the torpedo. You get like a cannon.
Yeah.
You get the ability to go underwater. You get a boost. Like they just keep layering it on.
Can you like die in that sequence? Like,
so if you what it is oh no, what do they call it? As you do each mission, you get a certain amount of reputation. We'll call it reputation points. So I can't remember exactly what it's called. Those are very good to give you materials and stuff. When you go back to the inn and sleep, it's like, oh, you got 6 of those that you got today. Now you can get a bunch of water, which is the currency, or you can get like components and stuff. And it's all really important. If you die, you lose all those on your run. And so, and the way it works is you can only each character can only go on 1 run a day, and then you have to go to the inn, but you get other people.
Right.
So that system works pretty well because it forces you to use all the people on your team, because you're trying to get as many of that reputation points in a day, because some of the lower stuff is like, hey, there's this rare gun, you want to buy it for 12 of them? And it's like, well, I can only get 12 if I got to take that fucking loser I don't even like. I got to take him on a mission and start and level him up. So that's a pretty good loop. I think it's pretty smart, so that you don't just say, here's my 3-man team. It's all I ever use.
How many characters have you unlocked at this point?
I have like 6. It keeps opening. Like, you get more room. So I think I can even get more. There's on the sub, you can unlock it so you can have more. So, I mean, it probably gets up to like 8 or something like that.
Do you ever get to play as the captain that you control in between missions?
I have not. The one-armed captain?
Yeah.
No.
I was like, why isn't he going? Fucking get a gun. Shit's dire out here. You need to contribute.
The story is absolutely nothing. I skipped through all that shit. I have no interest in it.
Yeah, they do like the like ununderstandable language. So like when one of the robots talks, it goes like wop 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 wop, which I don't like that personally. So yeah, but I mean the game. I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the character models, but I think the game looks nice, generally speaking. Seems kind of childish. Like, would definitely appeal to children. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Ava loved it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
She just watched, right? And my wife was gone last weekend. She was staying in a hotel for 2 nights, and Ava slept in my bed, and she we watched it the first night, and I was like, all right, I gotta put this away. You're never gonna go to sleep, because she's just watching. And she's like, well, who are you? Who's the good guys? Did we kill him? I'm like, oh, you shouldn't talk about killing so much. You're too young. And then the next day we're getting ready, and she's like, hey, can we go? It's bedtime. She's like, can we go into bed and can we watch that game so we can get tuckered out? And I was like tuckered out? Who the fuck taught you the word tuckered out?
So we could get tuckered
And
out.
I was like, yeah, we'll go play Steamworld Heist till we're tuckered out. Let's go. Like, it's just, but anyway, she absolutely liked it. It was a good time. I don't know that I'm necessarily done with it. It's a very, if you are really tired, and I've had a rough work situation for a couple of weeks, it's a really fucking game to not really think about and go play. It doesn't require response time. And I think that's probably why I've played quite so much of it, because I was like, yeah, let's just fucking in bed, let's do it.
Well, I found a bundle deal for like all of the SteamWorld games, so they're all in my library.
Jesus.
So if you want to go check out like Dig or something like that, I really liked Dig at the time, and it's been a long time since I played it.
What do you do?
You dig.
Noted. Like as advertised.
Yeah, so like kind of sort of like Terraria maybe, but not at all. Like similar in the way that you can kind of like dig through different things, but like really the goal is to gain resources, and there's like enemies coming at you and things like that. At the time that I played it, I think I played it on the 3DS if I remember correctly. It was fun. Like I enjoyed it, but that's really my only exposure to SteamWorld. And now they have SteamWorld Build. There's obviously the first heist. There's SteamWorld, like an RPG as well, that I don't think people like very much. I can't remember the name of that one. And then 2 SteamWorld Digs as well. So they've really fucking pumped out quite a few games in this IP.
I mean, if they're all, this is a well-made good game, and if the others are there of that, I'm pretty interested in checking them out and seeing them.
Yeah.
So, I just picked up a bundle of all the Metro games. Have you played any of the Metro games?
Yeah, I have. I have played the first one and the second one. I haven't played the most recent one. I haven't played them to completion, neither of them. But I played like probably like 10 or 15 hours of the first 2.
What I saw was that the narrative in those were quite good. So I don't know.
They are good from that perspective. I think that they lack in the gameplay department, and I can't speak for the last one because I know that that's like pseudo open world. But the first 2, just kind of like the gameplay is just kind of stiff. But the narrative is very good. I mean, obviously those games are based off of a Russian novel that's very popular, that people love. And so like they've nailed the aesthetic and the dire situation that you're in. But yeah, I just could never get over the hump with those.
So we'll see what the release calendar has. We've got, I mean, there's a few things trickling out. We've got Black Myth
Myth Wukong, which both of us are playing right now. We're going to wait until the next show to talk about it. I will say that I am like 25 hours into that game now, and so should definitely be done by the next one.
I'm excited to talk about that game. There's a Star Wars game that comes out in like
Star
2
Wars
days or something. So
next week, is it the end of, or is it Tuesday?
I think it's Tuesday.
Okay,
so I think
probably not gonna pick that one up right out of the gate. Definitely gonna wait for reviews on that and then go from there. But a lot of people got their hands on that thing and say that it is a solid 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. Not terrible, but also nothing that's like revelatory or gonna knock you off your feet. So
if that's where they come in, I don't know if I'll play it, because I want to be a Jedi, and
there's no Jedis in this game apparently.
And if there's no Jedis and it's a 7,
I kind of appreciate, honestly, that there's no Jedis, because I just think that that's like, don't get me wrong, I think Jedis are dope, but the Jedi games are just kind of played out, in my opinion. There's just a lot of options for that, and there are less options for I'm a bounty hunter or I'm just the smuggler, which I believe you play as smuggler in this game.
Rogue One type stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I'm like somewhat interested in it, but also it's Ubisoft, and like I just will never give Ubisoft any credit until like the last game that I really enjoyed for Ubisoft was The Division.
No.
Phoenix,
that Greek god one.
yeah,
was,
Phoenix Rising or whatever.
that
That
was
one's
fun.
all right.
That was fun.
Yeah,
I don't think either of us beat it, but it was fun.
No, I like the writing in that game quite a bit, but I wouldn't say that like, oh my god, like that was just
Like,
the
if they announced
PS5 was out and
they
like there
announced
was
a
no games to
sequel-
play.
They announced a sequel. You're not lining up because you already.
No,
I don't think I am either.
no.
I enjoyed what I played of that. game.
Immortals Rising Phoenix or whatever it was called.
Stupid ass.
That game's not bad though. If you can get over like the tried and true open world fucking Ubisoft bullshit. I've heard that the map in this game is far more digestible. There's not like thousands of icons. Like go and take out this fucking camp of raiders, that kind of thing. I've heard that it's a lot more condensed, which seems like the way the industry is kind of trending in terms of these open world games, which is nice to see because it's just like,
Yeah, you gotta rein it in.
yeah.
There's somehow.
So we shall see. So we got that.
When does that Zelda come out? Is that
September 26th, which is my birthday. So I was like, oh, all right.
Okay, so we got that, and then October was Silent Hill, and I think there's a few other things.
Yeah, a few smaller things between then and now. So we'll
Indiana
see.
Jones is supposed to be this year.
It is. They got at Gamescom. They announced the release date. I believe it's December. Pretty sure.
It means it's coming in hot. Like, that's not how you draw it up, right? Like, if it's releasing in December.
Pretty sure it's November or December. I just saw an article. They announced it at the actual release date, and people have gotten their hands on the game because they haven't shown off like actual gameplay. It's all just been like cutscenes and things like that. And what I saw is like this thing is actually way different than you would expect, and actually a good time.
Machine games.
Machine games, yeah.
I love their shit, so maybe.
Yeah,
I'm just not excited about it.
I love their story. Like I don't know if I love their gameplay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. Like the Wolfenstein games are good. Like I would never say like the shooting and stuff like that is bad in those games, but it's not the draw in my opinion. But it seems like people that were in Cologne for Gamescom that actually got their hands on it were actually pretty excited about it, because that was like the big thing. Is it's like you got a whip, you probably have a gun, it's first person. Like whip mechanics in video games. Like, I mean, Castlevania is good, but like outside of that,
is it? Whatever.
Is Castlevania good? Is it?
No, I'm saying are the whip mechanics in Castlevania good? Like,
well, it depends on which Castlevania you're talking about, Nick.
I don't think we've ever had a good whip. Like,
what are you talking about? Castlevania absolutely has a good whip.
No,
it's the whole like crux of that game is a fucking whip, man. At least the first couple of them.
But it's just a spear. Like I'm just saying, like you're not doing whip things. Like you're not using the full breadth of. We've never. I don't think we've ever really had a game that really showed you what a whip can do.
Okay,
the swing and and everything.
Yeah, well, maybe this will be the one.
Right,
maybe they'll have like you tilt the stick in one direction and hit a button, and the whip will whip in a certain direction.
Mirror's Edge.
Maybe they'll be like whip mechanics, hardcore whip physics.
I hope so. I don't know. Just listen. Fuck. It's a weird year, all right. And we've managed to play a lot of pretty fun games, but it is a weird year when you look at just the releases and the calendar. It's kind of like Sony just straight up took a pass. They're just
well, Concord.
Yeah. So I mean, they showed up great with Helldivers, and then they were like, we got nothing.
Yeah, have you been following what's going on with Helldivers? Oh man, people are really, really not happy.
What they do?
Some people are arguing that it might be dead. The game.
All right.
So there was like a lot of controversy with the meta in Helldivers, apparently, where there were like some very strong guns, and pretty much everybody was using those guns to have success. Which
because in the higher difficulties, you had to be
right. So there wasn't like a lot of build diversity.
Yeah.
So in response to that, the devs
nerfed the good gun.
They nerfed everything. So they nerfed all of the really good guns and made them worse, right? Which they've done this a number of times, which has really pissed everyone off and made them very angry. And they're like complaining about it. I have seen watched some videos, read some articles. I honestly am like, not really in the camp of agreeing with people complaining about it personally, because it's like, yeah, go use something else. Like there's a lot of guns in the game. Like you don't have to use this one. And like, it sounds like you still can use it. It's just not as like OP as it once was. So that shouldn't be a reason to be all up in arms, but we live in a dystopian society, and people are bitching and complaining about it because the argument is these guns are not fun to use and this gun is fun. But it's like, have you ever thought that maybe that gun is fun because it just destroys all the robots and bugs very quickly? Is that why it's fun? Or is it like truly, like from a mechanical perspective, more fun? And I mean, I used a lot of guns in that game when we played it for like the 30 or 40 hours we played. There was a lot of guns that I was like, yeah, I don't think this one is as good as this one, but it's still competently made and fun. So it's like, it's their decision to make. And like, yeah, it's your choice to play it if you don't want to play it. But like, it's getting out of hand. People are like, so the way the game works, right, is like planets are either liberated or they're taken over by the various enemies. And there is like petitions going on online that are like, let the bugs and the robots take all of the planets to get to the center of the map, which would in theory, like the devs have said, if they ever get to the middle, the game will end, right? Which is obviously ridiculous. That's never going to happen. Sony's just going to be like, yeah, let's just turn off the valve. They got to the fucking Earth.
They'll change the slider. Like, come the fuck on. Like,
yeah, but there's like petitions online being like, let them take it over. Like, let's be done with Helldivers. And I'm just like, just like, fucking just shut up, dude. Like, you guys are complaining so much, and it's so fucking annoying. And to be fair, Arrowhead has not done a good job as far as like PR goes. There was like some controversy with that, which is kind of pissed people off. They fired like one of the heads at the studio, and then didn't hire, but like promoted a new guy, and he's been like pretty active on Twitter and has said some kind of put his foot in his mouth a few times, which has really pissed people off. But with this kind of stuff, it's like, it's not your game. You can choose to play it. There are plenty of different games out there that you can play, and it's like, ultimately it's their decision. If they want to fucking do this, you got to deal with it. You can be angry about it, sure, but at the end of the day, like, I really don't like that. It would be one thing if it was like,
go play something else.
Yeah, it would be one thing if every gun sucked and just didn't work. And it's like, I can't kill a bug with this. It takes this many clips to kill a bug, where this one is like 2 clips. This one's 8 clips to take a bug down. Why would I ever use that? But like, it seems like they've nerfed the ones that were clearly a problem to be more in line with the other weapons. So there's more build diversity. Like, it was super toxic when it first started, where like people were reviewing your build like early on when the game launched, and if you didn't have a meta build, they'd kick you, right?
Jesus Christ. All these games have this type of situation where they've got to nerf and buff guns. You have gone through plenty of these with Overwatch. Yeah. You have had multiple characters that you have played that the changes that have made have changed the viability of your favorite characters.
Yeah.
And yes, you have complained. I don't know that you wrote a petition, but you also just moved on to a different character because it was just, Hog doesn't play. I got to move to a different one. Mm-hmm. He's not viable right now. And it's like, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. That's a boneheaded move. I will die on that hill. That one shot with a hook is not overpowered. It takes skill to fucking hook someone in and one shot them. Don't fucking come at me with some bullshit of like, it's not fair. I got hooked. Don't get hooked. And then you won't fucking die. Fucking assholes.
Poor Overwatch.
God, dude.
All right, that's a pretty good show. We are hopefully heading into some sort of a busy season if we get one of those this year, and
yeah,
we'll see where it gets us. Thank you for listening. That is episode 140.
Yep,
140. Take it easy.